Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Madhava Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Braja Janarajana Jayo Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya 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 Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gora, Hari Bol, Nitya Gora, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacarya Saraswata Shishimad Abhay Charanya Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Bhagavad Gita Class Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Charvita Gadadhar Sasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Srimad Mahamantra Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ki Jai. So we continue with the reading of the Bhagavad Gita, and today we are covering 36. Yes. So I hope we are all together there already. I'm saying, are we in the same page? Are we reading the same page?
36.
Yes, 36. 1836.
1836.
Sukam Tvidanim Trividam Sukam Tvidanim Trividam Shrinu me Bharata Shabha Abhasad Ramati Yatra Dukantam cha nigachati Sukam Tvidnam Trividyam Shrinu me Bharata Shabha Abhyashad Ramate Yatra Dukantam cha nigachati Sukam Tvidanim Vitridvidam Shrinu me Bharata Shabha Abhyashadra Mate Yatra Dukantam Chani Gachati Sukam Tvidanim Trividam Shrinu me Bharata Shabha Abhayashadra Mate Yatra Dukantam na vinigachati Sukam Tvidanim Trividam Shrenu me Bharata Shabha Abhyashadramati Yatra Yugatam Tayani Gwachakati Yukam Hidam Hidam Shrenu me Bharata Shabha Abhyashadramati Yatra Dukantam Chani Gachati Sukam happiness. Two but. Idanim now. Trividam of three kinds. Shrini Hear me. Me from me. Bharata Rishabha, or best among the Bharatas. Abhyasat, by practice. Ramate, one enjoys. Yatra, where? Dukkha, of distress. Antam, the end. Cha, also. Nigachati, gains. Translation. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. Repeat after me, please. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. So, Bhaktivedanta purport. A conditioned soul tries to enjoy material happiness again and again. Thus he chews the chewed. But sometimes in the course of such enjoyment, he becomes relieved from material entanglement by association with a great soul. In other words, a conditioned soul is always engaged in some type of sense gratification. But when he understands by good association that it is only a repetition of the same thing, and he is awakened to his real consciousness, he is sometimes relieved, trying to extract happiness from something that does not give you real happiness, or trying to look for something that cannot be found. It's like trying to get water from a stone. Prabhupada gives that example. Or like once the sugar cane has been squeezed and all the juice is out, then you go back and try and see if you can squeeze some more from it, which is almost impossible. Or the other example that can be given is that when somebody has endeavored so hard to the end of their strength, now they need rest. If you keep on, whether it's a human being or an animal, to drive them any further, you cannot extract any other work from them. They have reached their limit, that's it. They cannot go beyond that. So, in trying to enjoy material happiness, Prabhupada gives us the example of that the living entity simply chews a chew. But let's try and understand a little bit, what is this happiness and the sort of distress that is being said? If you go back to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 14, this is what it says. Matras pashas tu kontea sitoshna sukha dukkada agamapaino nityas tam sitikshasva bharata. The translation of that is that, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, or kind of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So Prabhupada in short purport here, he says that in the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. So that one there clearly explains that it's bound to happen. It has happened, and it will still happen. But the timing is according to its own pace. It cannot be dictated by us. And in the search for happiness, the living entity struggles so hard to try and reach that happiness that comes out of his own accord. And in trying to have that happiness and that enjoyment, maybe by the grace of a great soul, if he comes in touch with a great soul, then he becomes disentangled because he gets a little enlightenment. It's just like when the middle of the day, when the sun is so hot and it's bearing down on you, and you have a small wheeze of breeze from the sea, cools you down a little bit, you get some relief. But immediately that breeze is finished, you are back to where you were before. Right? Back to that distress of heat that we are suffering from. So we are, because of our attachment to sense gratification so much, we are constantly entangled in our search for happiness. But our search for happiness cannot be found within the senses or within the material things that we have. Our search for happiness can only be found if we can put ourselves back in contact with Krishna. It's just like a power grid line, or like this microphone now. If it's not connected to the power, no matter what I say, how much I shout, it will not be as loud as if it was put in power. So putting it back on power gives it a new life. Similarly, the living entity being in touch with Krishna gets new life and impetus from Krishna to continue living, to continue serving. And that has got to come from a platform of knowledge. It's very, very interesting that the happiness can actually be affected by the three modes of nature. Happiness being affected by the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. So, and that happiness that is being affected by the three modes of nature, we don't have any control over it. It comes out of its own accord. It comes at its own accord. Therefore, why should we try and look for pieces of glass while actually we can go and get the real jewel? Because the real jewel is in Krishna. The real repository of happiness is in Krishna. Sat-Chit Ananda Vigraha. That the Ananda, the happiness, is actually derived from Krishna. And unless we have Krishna, then our search for happiness is just futile and it is a waste of time. So unless we come to the platform of realization, unless we come to the platform of meeting a great soul, unless we come to the platform of having the right knowledge from the Shastras, then our efforts and our endeavors in this world are just wasting time. They'll be covered by the modes of nature and they'll not take us anywhere. We might be illusioned to think, oh, because I've seen this, I'll be happy. But you see that thing, or if you receive anything in this world, in the material world, people will always think, if I have this, I'll be happy. But once they're given that, then they find that that happiness is not there. Now that they've achieved that, they want another type of happiness. So it's always like, that is actually how the senses work with us. That it gives you the efforts to try and achieve a certain particular end. Once that goal is reached, then now you try and look for something else. We are always flickering our mind and our drive for sense gratification. So the conditioned soul, for it to properly enjoy, has to come to the lotus feet of Krishna. It has to come to the aspects of devotional service. It has to come in the association of devotees, because devotional service is not solo. In essence, our devotional services are supposed to be like assisting Radharani to serve Krishna. We are like the maid servants assisting Radharani to serve Krishna. That is why we always say, like in Vrindavan, you say they will always shouting, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, everywhere you go. Because they realize that Krishna's pleasure potency is Radharani. And Radharani cannot be satisfied with anybody else except Krishna. So for us to try and achieve Krishna, we have to be on Radharani's good books and help her in the service of serving Krishna. In Vidagda Madhava, there's a very, very nice competition between Radharani and the Chandra Valley. Yeah? There's those two sides who are always trying to seek the best way of how to serve Krishna. But if you read it very carefully, you find that actually Radharani always comes out superior. Radharani always wins. Because Radharani is like Krishna himself. Actually, it says that originally they were one. And then for the pleasure potency to be realized, they divided themselves in two. Unfortunately, for Kali Yuga to be liberated, they again united into one and became as Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is both Radharani and Krishna. He's Krishna in person, but has taken the hue and color of Srimati Radharani. And he comes in that sense, when they're now combined together, they're actually telling us how we can reach them. And how can we reach them? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Kalamasi, Evanati, Evanati, Evagati, Anyata. That just chant the holy names of the Lord, chant the holy names of the Lord, chant the holy names of the Lord, and you can never be lost. So, if you look at all the predecessor acharyas that came before Srila Prabhupada, they have written very, very nice songs about chanting the holy names of the Lord. They have written a very nice books about the glories of chanting, the glories of chanting the holy name. Because Krishna is none different from his name, from his paraphernalia. That is the difference. Because ourselves, the spirit soul is different from the body. But Krishna is not even different. The whole material creation is actually Krishna. We have what we call the external energy. Then we have the Tataska energy, or the middle energy. And then we have the internal, Hridayini Shakti energy, the internal energy. All those things combined together are still Krishna. But being, they are independently there, according to what Shisha Upanishad said. They are Purnam, they are complete in themselves. Om Purnam Ada Purnam Idam, Purnam Purnam Udachite, Purnasya Purnam Adaya, Purnam Eva Vasishate. That everything that comes from the Supreme complete whole are also complete in themselves. So all these aspects of Krishna are actually complete and able to take care of themselves. They seemingly, it's like they exist independently, but somehow or other, they are not actually independent of Krishna. They still have to depend on Krishna. Just like we say that plugging into the main power source. Jai Shri Shri Rukmini Dwakadish, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Shri Jagannath Balari Subhadra, Shri Shri Gaura Gita, Srila Prabhupada Ki. So, with the chanting, it's like we tune back ourselves to bring ourselves to the main grid, the main power line. If you are separate, then our power might die off. But if you are in the main power line, then the holy name actually acts as both as a transformer, both stepping up when the power is needed and stepping down when there's too much power. So that is why Lord Chaitanya gives that example about the ecstasies that are received when one chants the holy name of the Lord. Therefore, there's also the benefits of chanting the holy name and also the realization of chanting the holy names. And that is why we have to completely endeavor always to be nam-conscious. We have to be nam-conscious. We have to be conscious of the holy name always. Hare Krishna.